Welcome to tonight's episode of the Second Syndicate. I'm Teddy Collins, and this is Alicia Garcia, my co-host. We're here with Lily Tang Williams for a special in-person interview with her. This is the second time we've had Lily on our show. She is running for New Hampshire's Congressional 2nd District.
Wonderful. I'm a huge fan of Lily. If you guys are just joining our show, we've had her as a guest previously, and we really want to do more in-person interviews. So we thought, you know what, Lily is here in Colorado. It's like her second home, and we're huge fans, so we wanted to bring her on. We are the Second Syndicate, so for everybody out there, if you don't know who we are, you're just starting to watch our show, thank you for supporting us. We are Colorado's grassroots 2A organization designed for the people, by the people, to unite everybody in defending and protecting the Second Amendment. And we have the impeccable Lily Tang Williams here in studio with us. Thank you so much, Lily, for joining us.
Oh, it's
Welcome
great.
back.
First time to be in person in your studio. This is great. And after also just to tour the gun store and see all the people coming to do fingerprinting.
Yep.
And to probably have to take a test. And in that 8 days you were talking about, I mean, it's like, how could they do that to 2,000 gun stores in Colorado?
Yeah, what Lily's talking about here is in Colorado passed a law last year where every store in the state of Colorado also has to have a state-issued license. Unfortunately, Colorado wasn't very prepared for this new law, nor was their firearms dealer division that's been newly created. So they essentially gave us 8 days to get within compliance and have over 2,000 FFLs fingerprinted. I mean, Spartan is one of 3 locations here in Colorado Springs that can actually do these fingerprints for the states through this private company that's authorized by the state. So we've had FFLs coming in all day, all week to get fingerprinted because we've only had 8 days, again, to get within compliance, take tests, lock new security requirements, lock ammo behind the counters, things of that nature. So it's been a hectic time.
So just to give everybody an update of what is going on, it is House Bill 24-1353. It is state permitting for gun shops. This was passed last year by 4 Democrats, 2 House representatives, 2 senators, I believe, Sirota, Andrew Bosnecker, another person by the name of, I believe, Jeff Bridges, and Janae, I believe her name is Daphne Michelson Janae.
Yeah, the usual suspects, as they say, the anti-gunners in our state legislature that unfortunately
Are they communist?
Yeah. I mean, actually, we
Colorado, right?
We do have some known communists that were in that legislative session last year. Luckily, some of them have been voted out.
Thank you, God.
But unfortunately, and the Republicans have taken back some seats here in Colorado. During the last election, it's one of the first elections in years the Democrats lost seats. But unfortunately, they've doubled down and they're starting to enforce more tyrannical regulations on your Second Amendment rights here in the state.
So just to give people an update and, inform you of what's going on here in Colorado. So it's state permitting for gun shops. Like I said, that's the bill number 1353. And what it does is it requires gun shops like my business partners here, Spartan Defense, to be over-regulated in addition to the federal regulations. So as of July 1st, which was just a few days ago, they had to be in compliance with this new law, which means new shatterproof glass, fingerprinting and background checking every employee in the company.
Trigger locks on guns. The employees have to take a test every year and have required training on top of the federal training we're already required to do. It also opens us up to state inspection and state audits. So if you do live here in the state of Colorado, you're going to notice some changes the next time you go into your local gun shop. It may not be the same as it previously was as far as layout is concerned and as far as regulations and policies are concerned.
So one of the things that affects the people is now the state is requiring data to be collected in
Correct.
regards to those customers, which I find absolutely egregious. So one of the things that they're saying is that us as the gun shop, we have to collect data for the occupation of the customer.
And the finish on the firearm, which is not required under federal regulations. Now we have to log the finish, and there's additional redundant paperwork that we have to provide to the state of Colorado. The reason for this is because they're not legally allowed to look at our 4473s because those are federal documents. So they're requiring us to do double work, which is fun.
So the ATF form 4473 is something that you fill out every time that you want to pass a background check for a firearm, where you're saying, hey, I am not a prohibited person. I'm not mentally adjudicated. I didn't, give up my American rights, and I'm not somebody who's addicted to controlled substances or a domestic violence abuse person. And then once they fill out that form, Then once they pass the background check, then they have to wait 3 days to obtain that firearm.
Another Colorado stupid regulation is a
Yes.
3-day wait. We have a 72-hour wait here in Colorado. So when you do purchase your firearm and you try to exercise your Second Amendment rights, they're like, whoa, 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 you can't exercise them immediately. You're going to have to wait 72 hours to pick that up. So,
And I'm the plaintiff in that case, so I'm suing the state against a 3-day waiting period. That has been going on since 2023. October 1st, 2023 is when we signed that lawsuit. So I am Garcia and Garcia versus Polis. And if you would like to continue to support us in this type of work that we're doing, please support the Second Syndicate. Donate to us. You can also donate to my attorneys, Mountain States Legal Foundation, because they are doing this all pro bono as a constitutional attorney. So that's really excellent.
well, that's a little update on what's going on here locally, but we've got Lily on the show tonight, and we want to talk a little bit about Lily. So, Lily, tell the audience here that's watching us tonight a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, that the fact, you're running for Congress and what you plan to do in Congress. Give us a little information about yourself.
Actually, for people who have never heard about me, and I lived in Colorado for actually 21 years, and I originally born and grew up in communist China. And when I first come to United States to live under freedom, I went to UT Austin, Texas, and met my husband first night, got our degrees, and started family, and worked and lived in Colorado, and raised 3 wonderful children. And my political activism as American citizen started in Colorado precisely because Democrats wanted to remember that time, 2013, limited
Magazine capacity
magazines.
limitations.
Yeah. So my AR-15 picture and went viral is because, I never thought I would come to a free country and get those people who trying to take away the Second Amendment right. And I was never gonna, so I just said, hey, my right is there in the U.S. Constitution forever. I mean, that's what brought me to this country: Declaration of Independence and Constitution. I just thought, okay, it's good. I'm living in a free country, but until that time, I was not political 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of Americans take their rights for granted. A lot of Americans sit on the sidelines and they say, well, okay, they're just putting a magazine capacity ban in, or okay, I just have to wait 3 days. But at the end of the day, I feel like, Lily, especially you, from where you've come from, you see what disarming the public and what and taking away that right to self-defense, that right to defense of defense from one's government from tyranny can do. Because, like you said, you came from communist China. You've seen the effect it has on the populace, and over there's no right to carry, there's no right to own.
Yeah, look at today's Chinese people who are totally like living in a police state and tracked, and hundreds of millions like facial recognition camera.
Social credit, right? They have social credit too. Yeah.
system. And you cannot even have a toy gun. You could get arrested by just playing a toy gun.
Wow.
Insane.
And now they lock up sharp lives, like they during the COVID, because people turn to their choppers.
Yes.
They in the kitchen they use choppers to cut the meat. So they use that to defend against the police come to their home, take their loved ones away to quarantine camp because they were tested positive. And I saw those people start to turn to their kitchen knife to say, "You're not taking my loved ones away." And the blood came out, even dripped to the ground. It's like but what can they do besides use those? Because they were totally disarmed. So how can we not guarantee if we lose that right? Look at what happened in Australia too, right?
Yeah.
They took their loved ones, put into quarantine camps, and Australian people are being disarmed little by little, little by little. Now today it's like basically they don't have gun rights.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people take this for granted and they don't see the slippery slope. I mean, slippery slope in debate is usually a fallacy, but at the same time, it is little by little that they're chipping away at our rights. And a lot of people don't understand the true intent of the Second Amendment. I mean, a lot of people think it's about hunting. They think it maybe even about self-defense, but it's really about defense from tyranny. Because, we saw that with the British. We saw what they did. They would disarm us. They would not allow, they would restrict the purchase of firearms, the purchase of weaponry, so that you could not fight back, because it's much easier to control an unarmed person versus an armed person. An armed person has the ability to fight back. An unarmed person does not.
Well, one of the things that I always like to say to people about the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment doesn't give us the right to bear arms. It affirms it.
Yeah.
We have the right to self-defense, just being children of God, just being humans. that we have a right to defend ourselves. And if you look at nature and you look at all the animals in God's kingdom, every single creature has some form of self-defense, whether it be, you know, the claws, the ability to change color, chameleons, the ability, you know, to have sharp teeth, all of these things, poison, venom, all of these things are innate to the animal kingdom.
Yeah.
Correct.
We just so happen to have the technology and the cognitive reasoning and the ability to create and design tools that give people who are elderly, people who are handicapped, people that suffer from weaknesses in their arms or some, you know, age, all of these things that normally would be barriers and make these people victims. We now can arm them. They can arm themselves and say, hey, you know what? Not today. And it gives people the ability to resist.
And honestly, a firearm is the great equalizer. You could be a 100-pound female and be able to stand up to a 250-pound male. It doesn't matter how big they are or what size they are. The firearm equalizes the playing field. It allows somebody, you know, we saw this even if you look at medieval times. What ended feudalism? What ended medieval practices? It was firearms.
Yeah.
Because no longer did you have to have a trained soldier, a martial soldier. You could have a very simple trained peasant in some situations. Like when you look at Japan and you look at China before it was communist, and that changed the playing field from imperialism or from monarchy to democracy.
So American citizens, I think, especially our young voters who support gun control, because our failure of education system make them to believe like a government is protector, is a savior, and the criminals are so dangerous, and guns are very dangerous to us.
And the crazy thing about this is that those same people that don't want private ownership of firearms also want to disarm the police. In a lot of cases, you see them wanting to defund police.
Yeah,
so who's going to protect people? It's like they think that all men are angels, but all men are not angels. Men will do harm. Men will do evil.
Yeah, I was on Tim Castillo, you know, Tim Pool's podcast, and he talked about during COVID. He grew up in, you know, like in Chicago, and he was in New Jersey. He was talking about during COVID because they, you know, CRT, defund the police, the riots, you know, BLM riots. Lots of people feel like there are nobody's come to save you except yourself. So many first-time like the gun owners go to buy handguns. They, you know, it's like say, I cannot count anybody to protect me. And that's like the first-time owners were like 30 years old or something.
Yeah.
We have seen enough during COVID. Not even talk about the Mouse China or to, you know, communist country. We'll talk about in America that they basically can come to, you know, take you and rights away, and the criminals, they don't follow laws anyway. So that's the logic, common sense. Criminals will break the laws. They don't care about laws. No matter what laws you pass, they will do harm to you no matter what. So it's like the Democrats who think the government's going to save you by calling police. They're not coming. 911, you know, you're dead.
At the end of the days, laws could serve as a deterrent, but criminals are not deterred by the laws. That's why we still see crime. That's why we see mass murders. I mean, we look at what just happened
Murder's
here.
illegal.
Well, we look at what just happened here in Boulder. We had the guy with the flamethrower and the Molotov cocktails killing people. They got denied for a background check, but at the same time, he still found a way to commit mass harm and mass murder. Humans will find a way to do evil. The thing is that we should not disarm the innocent, because the innocent, the only way that they can protect themselves is not a 15-minute call in response time from police. It's having a gun on their side and being able to defend itself. And unfortunately, in the Boulder situation, they were in a gun-free zone. Otherwise, maybe somebody would have been a CHP holder there and been able to draw and defend themselves and stop the mass murderer before he started committing that crime, before he started hurting people.
I think lots of those Democrats and legislators, they don't make sense. You know?
It doesn't.
Because it's no longer about guns, about safety. It's about control.
I agree.
Yeah, they want to disarm us on purpose so they can do whatever they want. That's what happened in history.
Yeah.
The tyrants will disarm you, then they do whatever they want to you.
Well, it cracks me up as well, because they claim that the Trump administration is a fascist administration and that they're going to come into people's home and take people out of the country and deport them and all this stuff. Okay, well, that's an argument for gun ownership right there.
Right.
If you're scared of the Trump, I mean, I'm not scared of them, but if you're scared of the Trump administration, violating your rights, arm yourselves. You know, like Second Amendment, it's part of that. It's to protect versus a tyrannical government, whether it be a Republican or a Democrat candidate or person in office. It doesn't matter. So it drives me nuts when they say these things and yet they want to defund police and disarm citizenry.
And
it
let's
doesn't
take
make
a
any
look
sense.
at the whole thing about Boulder, right? So let's be the devil's advocate. Boulder in the state of Colorado is one of the most lucrative and heavy income societies,
It's
right?
also it also has strict gun control laws on top of the state laws. It's one of the only cities that has that. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
So they have a huge amounts of income. Like I think the average home cost in Boulder is over $800,000.
It's insane. It's a bunch of ivory tower people.
And then they also have some of the strictest gun control in the nation. So we were talking about the 3-day waiting period that we have here in the state of Colorado. In Boulder, it's actually a 10-day waiting period to purchase
specifically for the city.
Yes,
Isn't that
specifically,
crazy?
well, for Boulder County. For Boulder County. They also have a prohibition that you can't even conceal a pocket knife in the city and county of Boulder.
And they passed their own version of a assault weapons ban in Boulder.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So Boulder, by design, has a horrible history of quote unquote gun violence, right? I don't even like to say that term because it's a moot thing to say. They have a history of violence. And when you go back and you look at the King Soopers shooting, remember when that happened in Boulder? I remember watching a video of one of the guys and he was talking about, you know, hey, he was a clerk at King Soopers and he was saying, you know, I'm a concealed permit holder. If my company didn't prohibit me from having my gun here, I could have done something. And it got me to think, like, why do these people think that they have to be disarmed? It's not legal for them to be disarmed. You're more than welcome to be armed in your place of business, in your home, and in your private means of conveyance in the state of Colorado. And it's like, okay, this is why we have to combat this. That's why we created the second syndicate, is because there's so much misinformation out there. And there's these counties that are thinking that they are exceptional, right? Like, oh, we're like Boulder. We're going to pass these laws and we're going to make gun ownership a negative thing. And we're going to create this mystique around it that we don't need gun control, or we don't need people having guns. We have law enforcement and we have all these things. So if people are saying, oh, you know, gun control works because this guy went to go buy a gun and he was denied, and yet violence still ensued.
Well, look at most, you know, strict gun control places, Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, and California, New York, you think a violence stop actually gets worse,
worse.
right?
Yeah, so
and
Chicago-
more people died.
So Chicago, as of this year, from my understanding, only has about 1 or 2 gun stores left in the entire city because of the regulations that
And
went in place
criminals
about
were
5 years
enjoying
ago.
their
yeah.
shooting spree.
They're still
And the
getting the guns.
comparison, my home state, New Hampshire, live free or die state.
Yes.
A constitutional carry. Even
Yes.
for state legislators, walk to state capitals. There's no metal detectors and there's no guards, and people walking carry.
One of the safest places you
I
can
got
be.
excited.
And we never had mass shooters. You know why? Because criminals know. Well, New Hampshire, everybody, you don't know who is carry, who is not, and they will shoot you down first.
Yeah.
So I feel very safe in New Hampshire, precisely because of constitutional carry. Criminals are the minority.
Yes.
Law-abiding citizens are the majority.
Yes.
If the majority good citizens are concealed carry or open carry, you think the criminals gonna shoot at public places? They'll be dead very soon, right?
Absolutely.
And then also criminals don't shoot. Police stations don't go to other places because police are armed. So gun-free zones and gun control stuff actually cost more lives.
I agree. And if you
Well,
look at
what's happening here?
Exactly. Look what's happening in Colorado. We're now one of the worst states for crime.
Second in the nation.
And this
violent
is
crime.
after the magazine ban they put in place. This is after the 3-day wait. We haven't seen a decrease in suicides, which was their stated purpose for a 3-day wait. If you look at the states with the strictest gun control in the United States, they still have the highest gun crime, and gun crime hasn't dropped. It's increased in those states. So obviously gun control does not work. If you restrict the right of the law abiding to possess a means of self-defense, the criminals see it as an open pasture to take on the sheep.
And then it did not stop from those illegal Venezuelan gangs to get a firearms
As we
and
saw in
took over
Aurora.
apartment building in Aurora.
And it's going on still.
It is.
So we just found out not too long ago that there is another apartment complex similar to the 3 that were overtaken by the Tren de Aragua
Yes.
gang.
Gangs, yeah.
So there's another complex in it's Lowry. It's in the Lowry area, which is right outside of Cherry Creek, which is also a very, very high net
Wealthy
worth
area.
area. And what's happening, same thing. They're getting in these buildings, they're overtaking them, they're overthrowing people because they're forcing their ways into these people's homes with what? Illegal firearms, guns that have Do you think they said, oh, you know what? We can't use this magazine because there's a magazine ban on this AK that we acquired illegally. Hold up. Let me go get my 10-round mag.
Yeah,
it did
Lily,
not
It's not
work.
happening.
so for the last 5 years in the Colorado State Legislature, we were trying to change the laws to make criminal offenses for committing or stealing firearms a higher offense.
Yeah.
It took until this year to get it passed, and they wanted to water it down. It was actually a bipartisan bill, mainly a Republican-led bill with one Democrat sponsor, but we increased it to a felony, a level 3 felony, which
I
are
thought
the
it was
category
6.
category 6 felony,
Yeah.
excuse me, which is the lowest grade felony here in the state of Colorado. Actually, was a misdemeanor to steal a firearm up until then.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that insane?
Oh, wow.
And here's the other thing: the state legislator did not want to do this. The majority it passed on a very slim majority.
Slim.
And there was and all the past. What they did instead is they started making it a criminal offense for gun owners to not secure their firearms in a way. So
Oh,
instead of
yeah.
taking it onto the criminals, they're putting it onto the law abiding. They don't care about the criminals. They're not holding them accountable. I mean, I'm not going to say the store name, but a store just got broken into last night here in Colorado Springs by professional criminals, a gun store, to steal firearms. And that store was very secure. They went through the roof.
They went through the roof.
I don't understand why people keep voting for Democrats,
I don't
and
either,
they
Lily.
they are very hard on law-abiding citizens, and they are like soft on crime.
They're soft
and
on
soft
crime.
on criminals.
Correct.
They're inviting criminals.
And
They're giving them a sanctuary here.
It's incentive.
So why do people still vote for them? I don't get it. It's a fear-mongering. It's maybe it's left media and it's a social media brainwashing, and they're always trying to demonize and the regular law-abiding citizens instead of criminals who committed the crime. Well, if guns can be guilty, then how about cars? How about the criminal use cars to commit a crime?
Exactly.
And now, are you going to ban cars?
Well, they're also going after the manufacturers of guns now. Are they going to go after Ford?
Yep.
Are they going to go after Ram? No, they're not. But they hold firearms in the industry to a different standard. And we're seeing this a lot here in Colorado. And I will say that Colorado didn't start going this direction. And I'm going to be a little conspiratorial here. Okay.
Oh, I love it.
We didn't start seeing Colorado go this direction until we went to full mail-in voting. The entire state of Colorado is now all mail-in voting. And I will tell you, mail-in.
Mail-in.
That's it. You can go in physical person to vote, but then they put it in a box and it gets mailed in. So
really?
in
The
most
whole
cases,
state?
almost the entire state. There are
So they
some
don't
electronic
care.
machines.
Maybe people don't vote for them, but because
Well,
because
dead
you don't
people
have
are.
you don't have a
Dead people are voting.
election integrity.
Yes.
Your votes don't count, and they're gonna take your right
I'll tell
and
you.
liberty away.
Yeah.
And so you just suffer the consequences.
I'll give
So
you-
that's maybe the priority people should focus on is
Well, I'll give
election
you-
integrity.
I'll give you a personal example. During the last presidential election, my vote was thrown out. They said my signature didn't match. Now here's the thing.
give
They
me
gave
break.
me a 3-day period to rectify it, and they sent me the notification after it was too late. I didn't receive it in my mail until it was too late to rectify it. So my vote didn't count. I found that out after the fact. So I wonder how many others that's happened to. And I do think there needs to be some supervision of that in Colorado, and the DOJ needs to look into it, and
Well,
hopefully they will.
look, somebody got locked up. like a Tina
Peters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Point that we were making was Tina Peters
Mhm.
and election
And
integrity.
what happened to her?
And what happened to her. So Tina Peters basically uncovered a lot of election fraud here in Colorado. And, there's a lot to discuss about it. And it's a very touchy subject
Yeah.
because people are going to jail left and right
Yeah.
for it. But one of the things that is very, very imperative here is people need to understand that it's a way that people get discouraged to vote. When you're seeing all
It's
of these
voter
things-
suppression.
Well, yeah, it is. But
It's voter suppression.
people are thinking, if there's all
vote
this
doesn't count.
corruption and all these things are happening, why should I vote? Why should I partake in the system? Because-
Democrats think it's opposite. If
Yeah.
you require voter ID in-person voting, that's voter suppression.
Yeah.
It's crazy how they make that argument, because at the same time, I mean, we take an ID for almost anything we do in a professional capacity. I mean, you want to go apply for a government job, they're going to require an ID.
Yeah.
Why shouldn't we protect our voter rolls? Why shouldn't we have people register with an ID? Why shouldn't we have people vote with an ID? It's insanity. They say it's because it's racial, that it's gonna disproportionately affect minority communities. That's the most racist thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you
All
can
your
get-
black people don't know how to
Coming
use
from
ID to
the
get.
most racially ambiguous person I know, my business partner here, Teddy. Nobody ever knows what Teddy is, and it's like
Depends on the day of the week.
if Teddy thinks like, oh my god, that's racist, it is.
Hey, we all are Americans. That's
Yeah.
most important. We're American citizens. So, I have yellow skin, I'm supposed to be. So, but that's what New Hampshire did. We just passed actually the voter ID law,
Good.
and it's already effective this year. So
Good.
you will be effective next year when, next November when I run for Congress, because I lost by like just 5-something%
Sure.
and overperform, narrow the gap in traditional blue district.
Yes.
But now we have voter ID law. I'm hoping that we're actually tied up some, loopholes.
Yeah.
And we still have college students voting, which is kind of like not helpful because they all tend to vote for Democrat. So I'm
yeah,
going
they're
to college
indoctrinated.
campuses.
Good.
What are they?
Nice.
What are they saying? So my opponent, Maggie Goodlander, wife of Jake Sullivan, and who worked for Biden, came back to steal the seats last year because she pretended to be the renter in Nashua, but
Sure.
she was in D.C. for 16 years. All of a sudden, come back.
And claimed
And
residency so she can run in the seat.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're saying is so she refused to debate me. Why are you so afraid of debate me? You talk about democracy every day.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
is democracy, and Trump is anti-democracy. Democracy dies if you pass this bill, whatever, But she refused to debate me. That's the most New Hampshire way.
Yes.
Is have town halls everywhere you go
Yes.
and have open discussions,
And answer questions from
rigorous
constituents.
debate,
Yeah.
address to the questions directly, and what's she afraid of if she's so confident in her positions to debate me?
Mhm.
Hey, I don't even speak native English. Come on, it's like
I mean, if she's
Because
afraid to, if
you
she's
are a killer
afraid to-
debater.
if she's afraid to debate you, then she doesn't deserve to be in a position of power, because she needs to be able to answer to her constituents, and she needs to be able to debate her opponent so that her constituents and the people who are voting can see what people stand for. If she's unwilling to do that, she's in my personal opinion, she's disqualified herself.
she rejected 3 college campuses invitation to debate me. I thought that would be fantastic to get our young people involved in the most democratic process, to watch the debate, ask questions, and to judge, make a well-informed decision.
Sure.
Who do you trust to represent you? Who do you trust to defend your rights and freedom?
Who's
and
running from
keep,
conflict?
yeah, and to keep American dream alive, right? Because young people, what do they worry about? Economy, their future, they cannot afford anything, and they want to have affordable rent and housing and basically to say, hey, I have a purpose, meaningful life ahead of me. Be optimistic. It is sad to see our young people today feel like
Helpless.
it's like how am I going to afford to buy a house, to have a family? Some decided that I don't want to get married. I don't want to have children because everything's so expensive.
Yes.
But some of them are indoctrinated to keep voting for Democrats and voting for their own suppression and vote for their own future, like a lack of opportunities. It just does not make sense. But
It's Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, but I want to challenge her now. You cannot hide until Halloween night. That's what I did. Halloween night, I debated her. I went viral. And last November, like it's 2 days before the general election.
Sure.
And I went like a viral, and the RFK endorsed me.
Nice.
Money coming. What am I going to do in 2 days?
Yes.
So that's why I feel so obligated. I'm going to run again 2026. I'm
Good.
declared already. And I want the people to discover who I am and who she is, to say who do they trust to represent them. And as I said, we're all American citizens.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where I come from, where I was born, but I embrace our American values, which is a fundamental value of most American one you can have is a freedom, free market, Second Amendment right, free speech and free press, and rule of law, and equal justice and liberty for all. And it seems like it gets lost. And they don't talk about it. They just want to say, hey, well, government's going to give you this and give you that, and blame Republicans for all the problems and hate Trump. And when Elon Musk trying to, expose corruption, waste, and fraud, and give benefits to illegals who coming here for free stuff. Insane. But they don't tell them.
This is coming from a legal immigrant that came here and did it the right way.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people they're going to say, why should I vote for her? I would make the case for you, Lily, that you appreciate America even more than most Americans do, because you're not complacent. You came from a country in which you didn't have these freedoms, and you appreciate the freedoms we have here in America. And honestly, you've lived the American dream. You've experienced the American dream, and you want to preserve that for people to come here in the correct manner and make a life for themselves and make change for themselves.
Here's a funny thing. I just got one post this morning, went viral.
Yes.
I want to say goodbye to my brother who's working at a Walmart because we're flying to home pretty soon. And there were potential talk about amnesty
Mm-hmm.
for the illegals. So I basically told people, it's like 500,000 views right now, to say, my brother waited 13 years to come to this country legally with me be sponsored. That means first 5 years, no social welfare. I'm responsible for his hardships, his whole family, financial hardships. And also background check, health screen,
Yes.
in-person interviews, paying their face.
Yes.
13 years
And
come
then all
here.
these people that skip the line.
Mm-hmm.
Those people skip the night and lure in with the taxpayers' free welfare and the free checks, housing, healthcare, Medicaid, and food stamps. And now you're saying that, oh, we should just give them all legal so they can cut the front of line. There are about 5 million to 10 million legal immigrants we sponsor are waiting to be processed.
I know.
Wow.
If we need the workers, so-called farm workers, other industry workers,
Yes.
legally for working visas, you don't think those people want to come here, work hard?
Yeah.
They've been waiting, follow our laws for over a decade. That's not fair. That's not smart. You are luring illegals come in. Some just come here, do nothing, just get
Correct.
free stuff. Or
Absolutely.
someone
Yeah.
committed a crime or criminals. You know,
It's a security risk.
I think
Yeah.
under Biden,
Mhm.
open water policy, they did this on purpose
Yes.
to lure illegals come in from the countries of their choice,
Yes.
to give them free stuff, and they come in and then
There's no such
they
thing as
they
free.
have to apply for welfare.
Mhm.
When they apply for welfare, guess what?
Yes.
They are registered to vote.
Mhm.
That's the fundamental. That's why you see Democrats
They're buying votes.
fighting
They
so
want the votes. They're
hard
trying to
to
harvest
keep
votes.
them here. That's why when you say mail-in vote, who do you know who they are, where they live, if they're legal or legal or not? It's the Democrats and NGOs who work for those purposes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And getting even our taxpayers' money from USAID to run those operations, so-called social services. But actually, we are funding our own country's destruction.
We are.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We
by
are.
getting the people who come here do not embrace American values and violate our laws in the first place, and with the entitlement attitude, give me some stuff. You know, America, you owe me something. Then they come here, go protest, holding their country's flags. That just really pissed me off.
Those aren't
Yeah.
Americans. They obviously, if you, who goes out there and waves a Mexican flag that wants to legally be in the United States or wants to benefit from the United States? This is your country now.
Yeah.
That's that you can appreciate your heritage, you can appreciate where you came from, but when you're an American, you're an American.
Yeah, and so no amnesty and no free handout. And if you truly want to work here, and what happened to the temporary work visas? People come here just want to work.
Yes.
They get hired, they get invented by their employers, and no free handout. Employers should be responsible as sponsors for
Absolutely.
their financial hardships. So they're not coming here as parasites and to get on the public dough, right?
Yeah.
And that's American way. You come here, work hard. Maybe you have family sponsor you and pay for your stuff, and you achieve American dream. Like my brother and his wife and kid lived with us in Colorado in our Parker house for 2 years to
Yes.
save money until they can afford to move out. And so that's what a family is for, right?
Absolutely.
And they, at some point, two people had 4 jobs, one full-time, one part-time for both my brother and his wife in order to save money. And they worked their butt off through pandemic. Be
Yes.
stocker in Walmart store. Never took one single penny of so-called PPE money
Mhm.
or COVID money, and they had to be subject to the mask mandate
Mhm.
and COVID shots mandate.
Yes.
That's why I feel so injustice
Yes.
by Democrats' policies who are fighting for illegals, and more than they fight for American citizens and for legal immigrants, you know, like me and my brother who follow our laws, come here. And my brother still not a citizen, still cannot vote yet because he follow our laws.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And other people are skipping the line and still being able to get all these privileges.
Yeah, they cut
Yeah.
the front of line. And how about the 5 to 10 million people legally still waiting to be united to come here and you know, with the sponsorships?
I don't want to go too far down the immigration rabbit hole because I do want to talk more about the 2A stuff, but just to mention, I think we can both agree that our country definitely needs some immigration reform for legal immigration, especially
Yes.
a merit-based system, because we have a lottery system in a lot of cases
Yeah.
right now where people are randomly selected to be citizens that apply, and they're elected based upon the country of origin they come from. So like it's very disproportionate as far as who wins this lottery system. It's a lot of times it's from South America versus bringing in people based upon merit and based upon the needs of the United States. Like for
Correct.
example, if we need farm workers, okay, let's get farm workers in, but let's do it the right way. Let's have these people come in. We need some immigration reform, but at the same time,
streamline the process.
Exactly.
Very important.
Streamlining the
I mean,
process.
13 years is not human.
And
No.
again, merit based.
Yes.
Merit based. What skill are you bringing to the United States? Because we can't let everybody.
And based on our economy and job needs too. Like what kind of jobs we need some
Exactly.
foreign workers.
We need doctors. Okay, come on in.
But look
We-
at
you
New
know,
Hampshire. We need
yeah.
we need the people who can come here actually take care of our senior citizens who are living home alone
Yes.
and they can afford
Yes.
and to hire people who go take care of them at their homes because lots of young people don't want to do those jobs or you don't pay enough, they just forget it. They don't want to do.
Absolutely.
So there's lots of things we can talk about, the legal immigration and smart policies.
Yes.
But the thing is, they fight so hard in Congress, they just demonize another side instead of working together to provide real solutions for our problems.
And also we have a problem in Congress with pork.
Yeah.
Right? Every bill that we do, every single bill that we do, there's all these earmarks, there's all this pork that's baked into it. There's no reason, like I will say, there's a lot of very good things that the big beautiful bill did for us here in the United States. But at the same time, there was a lot of pork in that bill. And it's not as much as, let's say, Obamacare, which was thousands of pages long, but at the same time, it would have been, getting into the big beautiful bill, there were some nice things that occurred. Now, do I think it went far enough? No, because there were some things that were thrown out by the Senate parliamentarian. So I'm sure you're aware of this, Lily. Originally, the big beautiful bill was written to remove suppressors and short barrel rifles and short barrel shotguns from the National Firearms Act, from the NFA, where it would no longer require fingerprints, photos, a $200 tax stamp, and all this stuff. But the parliamentarian, an unelected official, threw that out through the bird roll. She said that it didn't qualify as a fiscal portion of the bill, and as a result, they threw that out. And they reduced it. They gave us essentially crumbs. They reduced it to reducing the tax stamp from $200 to $0. So come January 1st of 2026, we're going to have a $0 tax stamp. You'll still have to go through the same process to get a suppressor or a short barrel rifle, but it seems, I'll tell you, it's disappointing as someone in the Second Amendment to see that when we had a majority, when we had the ability to override the parliamentarian or potentially remove the parliamentarian and put somebody more friendly in place in order to do this. What would you do if you were in Congress? What would you bring to Congress that's different from what we saw some of our, I'm going to say, rhino Republicans do here in Congress?
Well, in the Constitution lays clearly, the U.S. House controls the purse.
Yes.
That means that when they initiate bills for budgeting, you're supposed to have like 12 appropriation bills.
Yes.
And from different area, different agencies, and put the bill together. But right now, we just don't have that appropriation process anymore. It becomes like a big giant bill, right? It's like a continual resolution, which is
it becomes, what can I get for my district in a lot of situations?
Because when bill is like that big, there are lots of good things in it. There's some bad pork in it,
Sure.
and the increased deficit, increased national debt. But then, if you vote no, they say, "Well, how come you don't support the good stuff in it?" Well, why can't we separate them, right?
Yeah.
So separate them, have smaller bills. It's a lot easier to handle it. And then also, they shouldn't procrastinate. They should negotiate earlier. They should put stuff out there earlier. So, there's lots of good stuff I support in the big, beautiful bill. But
Me as well.
Yeah, but I am concerning about deficit spending. I'm concerning about national debt because, the interest payment now we are paying to service our national debt, $37 trillion,
Sure.
is bigger than our defense budget.
Oh, wow.
So that took away lots of our options
Agreed.
to save money, to have economic growth, especially for the younger generations. The super inflation will hit if we keep spending like this, and that means who's going to get hurt? It's actually working class and younger people who don't have much
Exactly.
assets.
It's the next generation that's going to be carrying that debt.
Mhm.
Do you think that a solution for this may be term limits in Congress? Because if you have term limits, maybe they think more carefully about what they're passing on to the next generation.
Well, at least they won't be probably just listen to lobbyists and for special interests. I do support term limits, and I signed a pledge to terminate U.S. House,
Yes.
like a representative for 3 terms,
3 terms,
6
6
years, and for the U.S. Senate, which is 2 terms, 12 years.
Yes.
Don't you think that's plenty?
That's plenty of time. You have a generational leadership at that point. Yeah, I think so.
And we are supposed to serve the people. So go
Correct.
serve and get out and go to private sector. Know the normal people's pains and sufferings. Instead, they've been in Washington for 30, 40 years. They losing touch, and who knows what the blackmail they can get, from other
Yeah,
sources. Then you have to vote for this. Otherwise,
correct. And then they have them for life because the average congressman is serving, I want to say it's like 8 or 9 terms or something of that nature. They're serving so many terms. So I heard a quote. It was actually just a show I was watching on TV, and it was talking about political corruption. And the person stated, I can buy a congressman for $250,000 and have him for 12 years.
Yeah.
Because on average he's serving 10 to 12 years in Congress, and all I had to do is bribe him once through a political donation or something of that nature. So I think term limits might be the solution.
I heard a word is $5,000 can buy a U.S.
Oh, it's
senator.
that cheap, so maybe I need
Well,
it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, think about the maximum individual donation right now.
Yeah.
It's $7,000 for federal.
Correct.
At the federal level.
Unless you go through a super PAC or something of
Yeah,
that
unless
nature.
you have super PAC, other PACs, and so everybody, of course, trying to get a maximum. But
Yeah.
my average donation is $35 last year.
And that shows that you have a real grassroots support,
Yeah,
which is
I
good,
have,
and that's
yeah,
what you want.
I
You
mean, I
want
have
candidates
over
with that.
10,000 donors all over the country because I always tell people, maybe that's why some people don't want to back me, because I always tell people, I truly believe our government is supposed to be intended by the founding fathers,
Yeah.
Correct.
for the people, by the people, of the people. And they decide if you're good enough to represent them or not. If you don't serve the people, don't put their interests first above the other ones, and you shouldn't be in Congress. So when I talk like that, I say I'm not for sale. I always say that
Good.
I'm for liberty, not for sale.
You don't want to owe any favors, which is good. You don't want to owe any
But
favors.
they say, so if they agree with me, everybody can support me, but I'm not going to sell out of my principles,
Of course.
because I have all the right reasons to run for Congress, because I love this country. I want to give back to the American people, including New Hampshire people who welcome me with open hearts, and I mean, I run in Colorado too, but it's
Sure.
just, I saw what's coming, like you said, from 10 years ago, they limited the magazines for my air and to today, what they're trying to do to you just get worse and worse and
It is.
worse.
And I'll,
So I'm really concerned about our country as a result. We're getting worse.
well, you and I talked about this a little briefly before the show. That's why we need federal preemption so bad. And for those of you who are watching that don't know what that means, is it would mean that the states could not pass any law that would supersede federal law. So that means if for example, we had national reciprocity of CCW or national concealed carry and open carry law, the states could not further restrict that. If we have, the right to bear arms at being, at 18 years plus, even though the Constitution doesn't have an age requirement, let's just say that that's what courts have decided at this point. If we had that, then states could not further restrict it, like we see here in Colorado, where now it's 21 years of age or plus.
Yeah.
So
How
we need federal
about
preemption.
we can just pass like a national constitutional carry?
That'd be
Would that be
huge.
great?
That'd
Hey,
be
New
amazing.
Hampshire's constitutional carry, and
You don't see mass shootings in New Hampshire, do you? I mean, I haven't heard of a single mass shooting in New Hampshire.
You
because
know
have
what? Yeah,
Constitution.
I know people carry everywhere I go. Well, I feel very safe in New Hampshire, even though I feel like I don't feel so like in New York
Yeah.
City, in California, or even Boston,
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
a lot of people don't realize that about New Hampshire. It's live free or die state. It's a very libertarian. It's a very I'll say it's very constitutional. I won't say I won't go as far as to say conservative, because you do have it is a purplish state.
It's purple, yes.
But it's a different type of purple than you see in most states.
People are independent minded.
Exactly.
And 6 hour. I mean, I visited there. Actually, they planned the showroom, and I went to Ruger. I mean, it's like
Oh, that's so nice.
It's a beautiful facility.
And I did go to talk to lots of governors.
Have you been by Q yet? And Q live free or die. They have it's a firearm manufacturer. They make some of the highest end firearms out there, especially in rifle platform. They're actually right across from SIG. If you, I'll put you in touch with
Q.
one of my guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, you'll love it. You'll love it.
Because
I want Q
Yeah.
so bad. Like, if you know that like people have gun brands that they're like, oh, that they like, oh my god, that gun is so cool.
Yeah, because
Q
I have
is it for me.
because last year I actually got lots of individual gun store owners
Yeah.
endorse me, and they know where I stand because I feel so passionate about our gun rights. Because without that, how are we going to defend our First Amendment rights?
That's the point of the Second
Yeah.
Amendment. Is the
Yeah.
Second Amendment is enshrined as number 2 in there to protect everything that's
Yeah.
in that Bill of Rights. Those first 10 amendments.
Yeah, plus, like you said, our rights
Mhm.
coming from God,
Yes,
from our Creator, not from government.
correct.
So
Exactly.
I will think all those laws are not constitutional, but the thing is, though, like that's how I feel sad about America. It's like there's so many laws that are not constitutional, but they get passed. And then we have to fight them in the court. You know,
It takes
the
years in the
time,
courts. Yeah.
takes energy, takes money. And some people, why they just cannot give up and then they burn out in this political process. But I always tell people, please, try not to get burned out. And giving up is not option, because what is the consequences? You give up, and those socialist,
right
communist-minded people win. Then what happened to me? What happened to you in this country?
It's crazy.
That's not option. So we need to be happy warriors. Also, we need to constantly engage with our fellow citizens, our young people, to talk, to discuss. You're doing great because you're not just running gun shop. You're trying to educate people through your podcast and keep them updated about what's going on in Colorado.
Speaking
go ahead,
speaking of our show, we are a 100% 501c4 nonprofit. So if you are out there and you're watching the show right now, please understand that everything you see that's happening here is because of the need to defend the Second Amendment. So please head to thesecondsyndicate.com, donate to us, the2nd.com, the2ndsyndicate.com, donate to us, support us, donate to Lily, donate to the CFFLA, which is the Colorado Federal Firearms Licensee Association. We are out here actually doing what we can to educate, inform, defend, and protect the Second Amendment. And some of the comments that I see, so I also create a lot of content, not only for my TikTok account, for Instagram, X, and things of that nature. And I see a lot of comments from the peanut gallery saying to me, hey, you know what? Just move, just leave. Colorado is a lost cause. You bail, go move somewhere else. And we have to combat this mindset that it's okay to run.
No, we need to stand and fight. Our founding fathers didn't run, they stood and fight. And at the end of the day, eventually you're going to run out of places to run, because we're seeing this happen with states where they're turning from red states to blue states. And you see people fleeing these blue states, and they're bringing these bad policies and these bad politics with them. That's what's happened to Colorado. Colorado used to be the Wild West. We have Doc Holliday buried right up there in Glenwood Springs. This used to be America. When you ask somebody out of the country, what do they think of when they think of America? They think
bacon, guns, and
they also think of the Rocky Mountains. They think of the Rocky Mountains. They think of the Royal Gorge. They think of these old western towns. They think of Deadwood, Wyoming. Dakotas. You think of the Grand Canyon. That's all in this area. You have Arizona and you have Colorado. That's the true vision of America people imagine when they think of America.
Plus, I always tell people, what? America is the most exceptional country on earth. If I could come from a communist country with $100 borrowed, could not speak English, almost 24 years old, in the hole, like $1,200 in debt, I could start my own business, raise a family, build for 3 children, and become a small business woman, and running for Congress in New Hampshire, become the major party nominee for Congress. Where else could I do this?
No other country in the world.
There's so many good things, great things about this country that the media don't want you to know, and some politicians don't want you to know. They want you to hate America, and they want you to, and hate the fellow citizens and doing identity politics. I can tell you there's no place to go. I have only one citizenship, which is USA. I'm not like a congresswoman. Omar in Minnesota has like 2 citizenships, and he's so anti-America. That's why I made this video to say, she's a national disgrace and also embarrassment to all the illegal immigrants who come here,
I agree,
who love this country, who embrace freedom.
She's an example of one of those people fleeing their country, bringing their policies here, and it's insane to me that she just has such disgust for the country that she's had it so well in.
Well, same thing with New York City, who came here as a 7-year-old boy.
Yes.
And from Uganda with his parents. Now he's promoting progressive, radical leftist, socialist policies. Did he ever suffer starvation, huh?
No.
Like 60 million people died of mass famine in South China. He wants government run grocery stores. People come here, are you kidding me? It's like they
insane.
don't understand what truly Marxism is about.
No, they don't.
Always about classical class struggles, like oppressor versus oppressed.
Division. This is a tactic. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I posted a video the other day talking about the importance of staying armed and the importance of making sure that you can have the right to say no, right? If somebody wants to impose their will on you, you have the ability to say no, and you have the ability to make sure you can enforce that ability to say no. And this woman said to me, because she was protesting at the Capitol against Gabe Evans and all these other politicians that we have in office right now, and she had a shirt on promoting socialism. And I commented on it and I said, do you understand what socialism really is? Have you ever actually read a history book and looked at the countries that suffer under socialism? Do you know what's going on in Venezuela? Do you know what's going on in these places that are predominantly socialist? She says, yes, it's free healthcare. It's affordable living. It's making sure that people have the things that they need and we don't have, we have access to this. I said, okay, your free healthcare is forced immunization. It's forced sterilization. It's forced.
It takes away your right to choose.
And
It's
the plus,
forced on
and
you.
the plus, it's nothing's free. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
We had to pay for schools. My mom, dad got into debt to pay for 3 kids, so-called government school education, and also the childcare, health care, live on food rationing, and you run out of food, you run out of money, you're at the mercy of the local government. And even today, the Chinese socialist medicine today, it's so corrupt. You saw what happened during the COVID? People
Yes.
cannot go to hospitals, and they
They
see
got
their
locked in
loved
their own
ones.
apartment buildings.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let them
They
leave.
see their loved ones dying, and some people, they were so in pain, they could not get the proper timely health care, doctor's visit. They committed suicide because they were so in
They're
pain.
jumping out of buildings. I remember seeing those online. Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's what I'm saying, that even in today, and people only say, oh, glorious China, second largest economy, but because that's only something they allow you to see.
And
Yeah.
also, let's be honest, some of their policies are more capitalist than even here in the United States when it comes to business and the things that they're willing to do for business there. Now, don't get me wrong, it's state controlled. It's still communism. It's still socialism, but it's interesting because the only reason China is successful as they have is because they've allowed some form of capitalism. Don't get me wrong. it's
Yes,
extremely strict
exactly. You're
capitalism.
right. Because when I was in college,
Yeah,
in the 80s, we were going through
there
like
was nothing like that.
they were like going through cultural renaissance. We're
Yeah.
talking about economic freedom, political reform, and the people I know like were working for state factory all their lives, our neighbors, and quit and start their own restaurant, become first one, got rich, bought a motorcycle, later built a housing in the countryside for his parents, and it was a very exciting time.
Sure.
And but I said it's not because communism. It's because after Mao's death, that Deng Xiaoping saw China was about to collapse economically.
Correct.
He said, well, let some people get rich first. If you can get rich, I don't care. His famous saying is that it doesn't matter if you're a black cat, you're a white cat, if you can catch mouse, you're the good cat. Let me get rich first.
Sure.
So China economy boomed. But still, it was political dictatorship, one-party control.
Sure.
But at least they basically reduced the central government economical control.
Correct.
So no more like those push down on the state, on the city level. If you want to start your own business, and go ahead, and the people got rich. But
and their number
now,
one customer's us. We're the ones that's been financing it all too.
Yeah.
Like all the money for it. I mean, we're the
You go
number
to the
one
store,
consumer economy in the world.
Well, we're the number one consumer of Chinese products too.
yeah.
Yes.
So what happens is that China is going backwards because after Deng Xiaoping died and after several leadership change with Xi Jinping, he's more hardcore, CCP control, but he is different from Mao though.
Yes, he is.
Mao wants self-isolate. Nobody knows what's really going on inside the China, including mass
And he
starvation.
has
Yeah,
global intentions.
But the
Yeah.
thing though, Xi Jinping knows that the Soviet Union collapsed because of like a Berlin Wall, and because they opened up, and so and because they were also not adapting, expanding into the world aggressively. So he
Correct.
started. Here's something I'm really worried about. China actually come to United States for a long time.
Yes.
Infiltration. They buy farmland.
Oh
They
yeah.
have their TV shows in Chinese language, and they buy the largest private school owner in the United States
China.
is China.
That's crazy to me.
And also, guess what?
Indoctrination is
the
what that
Chinese-
is. Yeah.
They own the app TikTok and WeChat, and
So I
they-
heard this. Since I don't want to interrupt you, but on the subject of TikTok, I heard that TikTok in China is completely different in the United States.
yeah, totally different.
Yeah.
They were patriotism. Kids all want to be astronauts, scientists, engineers.
Educational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to compete with the world, right? And
But over
still
here-
very anti-America.
Yeah.
But here they're pushing down transgenderism, woke
Dancing,
culture,
brain rot.
anti-America is totally different. So that the thing is so that we need to counter that. The best way to counter like the propaganda is to use anti-propaganda. That means we need to stand for something. We need to win in our cultural war, right?
Yes.
But the thing is, so I am worried about they infiltrate our schools, our churches, our media, and our economy. And there are lots of so when you run into Chinese Americans, just be sure there are three kinds, okay?
Yes.
Pro CCP,
Yes.
anti-CCP,
Yes.
and there are lots of them in the middle don't want to get involved in politics
Sure.
because they're worried about, oh, I have family in China.
They may come after my family.
Yeah, I have a business. I do business with China. I do import from China. That's why, some people just are not political and they still watch CCTV, which is a Chinese language program from Beijing propaganda machine. And they're watching here. It's on Xfinity cable channel.
Crazy.
It's like, why did they even allow that marked not as a foreign agent?
Yeah, it's
and
like
to
it's like-
brainwash
it's like-
Chinese Americans here.
It's like Russia TV. They are the Russian, what is it? Russian news or whatever it is. Yeah.
So the thing is so that
RNN.
we just have to be aware and to say, they're here, they're in our country. The best way, not just talk about trade wars with China, right? Because we cannot totally separate our two economies.
No.
It's actually to stop from invading by them in our own country.
Yes.
We cannot be. It's like they are take advantage of us by using our free, open society.
Correct. They use
to
our own
take
stuff
over.
against us.
To
Yeah.
control, and there are lots of corruption. So if you're a politician in your city, if you're cozy with Chinese government, you want to do business in your town, guess what they do? You get invited to go to China, free trip.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And your family get rich by having business deals.
Sure.
So you get a license, you get a special permits, but at the same time, when they come here, it's like, oh, if you do anything to against them, oh, you're racist, bigot. It's all propaganda.
I guess that's one of the biggest fallacies with socialism and communism, especially when Karl Marx was writing his theories of socialism, was that it would assume that men do not have man in general do not have natural or ambitions, right? If all men were angels, maybe socialism would work. But unfortunately, there's people. What it does is it takes the power out of the private sector, puts it into this government bureaucracy where the government bureaucrats, become the fat cats. They're the ones that because they have personal ambition. They're going to profit off of the state. They're going to profit off of their people. So it's kind of interesting to see that. It's definitely, at least with capitalism, you have free choice to choose where to spend your money. With communism and socialism, you don't have that choice. You spend it with the government. The government.
Well, they force feed you.
They force feed you.
It's
Plus,
getting-
you don't have a choices. When I was growing up, we ran out of toilet papers, cannot afford toilet papers. And you have one brand of detergent and shampoo and everything, all government brand.
You're not
You
going
have
to be
no
able to choose your
choice.
gluten-free stuff.
Yeah, and
you
there's no choices and no private income.
Everything's force-fed.
And even today, China, I would say they allow private industries and private
private industry
ownership.
sectors. Yeah.
So I think that they're fascist country because fascist country means you are allowed to own your business and to have private properties, but party controls everything. Like Alibaba's CEO, right, and
Yes.
Jack Ma
Yes.
disappeared for a few months because
Yeah.
he dared to criticize the party's regulatory policies
Yes.
on economy, and they forced him to resign from the job from the company he created.
He created. Yes.
And force them to pay fines, so-called give to charity, and pay fine. And otherwise, they were not allowed to go to listed in Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So how could we allow private businessmen getting so rich? So it's still fundamentally, it's Marxist.
He became a threat to the government and the party and the status quo,
Yeah.
so they shut him down. They ultimately hold the reins of power.
That's why when they talk about so-called, we want a China model. I said, no, that's a fascist model.
Yeah.
I
It
want
really is. It's more. You're right. It's really more fascist than socialist when you really think about how China does things. It's more of a.
I want my freedom, all the freedom I'm supposed to have because, my rights and freedom are coming from my creator. So they're not going to tell me, just be rich, just keep your head down, have your comfortable living condition. That's good enough. That means I have to shut my mouth not to criticize government. I have to be quiet, keep my head down. And if my kids are being indoctrinated, I'm not supposed to criticize the government, the educational policies or indoctrination centers. No, I said that I want to say whatever I want.
And again, it comes back to firearm ownership and the ability to hold your government accountable through firearms owners and through the right to bear arms.
Speaking of
We
that,
saw this in Hong Kong when Hong Kong was
Yes.
protesting. They were using lasers against the police. They were using umbrellas because they weren't able to arm themselves in any way. That could have turned into more
And
of
they
a
were
rebellion.
holding American flag.
American
And
flags.
say the also a big sign I saw said we want the Second Amendment right
Yes,
from a Hong Kong student.
correct.
It's very sad though. I lived in Hong Kong with my husband, two boys,
Yeah.
from 1996 to 98. We saw the turnover. We saw the flag change.
Yeah, when they
and
changed it from
yeah,
Great Britain.
and but we saw hey, one country, two systems for 50 years, nothing will change. They start change,
Yeah.
infringe people's rights, and violate the promise
And
they
people just
made.
disappeared.
Yeah, and now Hong Kong is actually diminishing in its role in international commerce, international trade. Also, Hong Kong young people, 100,000 of them who took a part of the democratic protest, they fled to English-speaking countries and Canada, UK. But at the same time that the Chinese government imposed national security law, intelligence law onto Hong Kong people, and they cannot now vote for
Crazy.
the people they wanted.
No.
It's all fake now, fake voting. Oh, okay, you can vote, but I'm gonna give you three choices.
Mhm.
1, 2, 3.
and it's all the same person.
Yeah.
It's
All the same party.
Yeah,
It's
all
not. It's
the
not.
same
It's
party.
not. Yeah, it's all the same party. It's crazy.
That's why Hong Kong people, Hong Kong youth, never subject to communism before.
No,
So-
I mean, what year was that? The handover from Great Britain.
1997.
1997.
We were in Hong Kong that time.
Yeah.
We were in Hong Kong. Then we saw them 2019 in the COVID, so supposed to be leaked by Wuhan lab.
Mhm.
The COVID was used to weaponize to shut down Hong Kong
was.
protesters and interfere with U.S. elections.
There's a lot of conspiracies about whether that was intent because I mean, it looked like Hong Kong was going to turn into a full-blown rebellion.
Look, we lost our free speech during COVID time. If you dare to say Wuhan virus leaked from Wuhan lab, you were going to like a Facebook jail.
Or as our great president says,
Okay.
China.
So we obviously love you. We love having you here.
Thank you.
You are the only guest that we've had twice. If just for the public to know, we threw our first event as the second syndicate in honor of Lily Tang Williams because she was here in Colorado and she is a personal hero of mine. When I get ready and I get up every day, I have a poster of her, and it's actually this. This is a Lily Tang Williams shirt that she gave me when we had an event for her to raise money for her campaign to get her into Congress because we need more patriots. We need more people that understand the needs of the people, that represent the voice of the people. That this woman is not a career politician. She is somebody that can speak from experience. She's representative of the American dream. She understands what it means to make something of herself and actually be a representative of the things that she believes in and put that into place. So we really need to get this woman in Congress. Lily, would you like to tell the people how they can support you and how to donate to you to make sure that we can support your campaign?
As I said, thank you. I appreciate it. This is a great opportunity, and I'm the embodiment of American dream. And my success in the United States proved to you that this is the greatest country on earth. So I'm running for all Americans to defend our country and from the taken over by the progressive, radical leftists and Marxists, and America is worth defending for. All our rights are worth defending for. So I'm asking for you donations if you can afford and able to. Go to my website, lilytangwilliams.com, and after you watch this show, and send me some money. And I'm a grassroots candidate. I'm an outsider, not career politician. I'm running for all the right reasons to save our country and to keep American dream alive. If you're on X, follow me, Lily for Liberty. And I have my own YouTube channel, Lily Tang Williams. I have my Instagram. I have my own Facebook page. But the most actively, I'm daily on X, and I have a 250,000 people follow me. So I need the social media warriors. If you cannot afford, donate even $5, please share my post and get all the people to
Share
back
it.
me, because I am the unique candidate for Congress. And I promise you, I will never sell you out. And I always tell people, I promise tell you the truth. I'm not for sale, but I'm for liberty.
And so we really believe in what she does. The Second Syndicate really doesn't promote a lot of politicians because we're for the people, but she is somebody that is a personal inspiration for mine. And you said something earlier about the power of the flag, right? There's so many people that are out there in other countries and they adhere to the American flag. They adhere to the Gadsden flag. If you guys aren't familiar with the symbolism of the Gadsden flag, you know, it's the yellow flag that was created by Gadsden to talk about don't tread on me, right? It stands for liberty, saying, you know what? It's the coiled snake saying, don't tread on me, don't step on me, because I will defend myself. We don't seek out ways to create harm, but if you respond in a threatening way or treat us a threatening way, we will fight back. And the Gadsden flag has always been a
It's actually the original American flag. A lot of people don't realize it was the first flag to fly of rebellion over the Capitol in Boston, and before we even had the Stars and Stripes.
So we really love that symbolism. And if you look at this image here where Lily was debating David Hogg and she put him in his
Destroyed him.
place,
Destroyed him. Go watch that
everything's
debate.
yellow, which is it's very reminiscent of the Gadsden flag. And that's a very special flag to me. So Lily doesn't know this, and we can't touch the gun because YouTube will cut us off. But this gun right here is the Second Syndicate's gift to you, Lily.
Oh,
So we are
yeah.
giving you this gun because we believe that you need to have that, because you are such a representation of what it means to fight back and to tell people, you know what, I stand for liberty. You're not just somebody who talks about it, you're someone who walks the walk. And you know, it's such an iconic photo of you standing with an AR-15, and I was looking at that photo, I was like, we need to get her something that's a little bit more modern, that's a little more representative of what she does. And I was like, we have a gun here that I actually personally built, that I said, you know what, that gun should be for Lily because it has the yellow, it has the coiled snake for the Gadsden flag. Wow. Primary Arms, I reached out to Primary Arms and I said, I want to give this gun to Lily. It's small enough for her. It's something that she can shoot. She can use to defend herself.
Gorgeous looking.
And,
I have to post it.
Primary Arms is generous enough that I called my good friend Ken Ross over at Primary Arms, so shout out to them, and I said, I have a gun that I want, a rifle that I want to give to Lily Tang because she's such an inspiration to me, and we really respect you and want to support your campaign. And I said, what's a way that we can support her too, not just financially, but in a very symbolic way. So Primary Arms is sending us an optic to mount on this for you. We have some magazines that we are going to make sure that you get, and our gift to you from the Second Syndicate is this gun
Thank
for
you
you to
so
have.
much.
because
Thank you.
We believe in you so much. So that is our way of saying thank you and to honor you and to help support her. And I don't care what you do with it. If you want to do it a giveaway, so you know people can donate and you can do a giveaway in order to raise funds for your campaign, have at it. If you want to shoot, you're more than welcome to shoot it, but it is our gift to you in a way to say thank you.
And last year I did have one gun shop in New Hampshire, donated the gun, and we did the gun raffles. And we raised thousands of dollars by just joining online. Everybody can buy $10, $20 to enter the raffle. But normally I like to keep all my guns. And thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I do feel so loved. Even though I'm not a career politician, I might not be backed by establishment and not so super PACs, but everywhere I go, since my viral debate, I travel around the country, people will grab me to say, are you Lily Tang Williams? Yes. I love your message. I love your debate. Can we take selfie together? It's so encouraging. I feel so loved.
Yeah,
Well, you are.
And guys, if you want to see Lily Tang in action, especially on the debate stage, you should go look up her debate with David Hogg, the person who recently got kicked out of the Democrat Party, did he not? But no, he was a school kid at Parkland during the school shooting that occurred there, and he became an anti-gunner, an outspoken anti-gunner. She just destroys him on the debate stage. So Lily is a true defender of the Second Amendment. And for those of you who don't live in the state of New Hampshire, whether you live in Colorado, Texas, it doesn't matter. Her campaign is a grassroots campaign. You may ask yourself, why does it matter to me to get someone elected in New Hampshire? Well, it matters because we need more people like her in office to defend our rights in
Absolutely.
DC. So go to her website, donate whatever you guys can, help her get into office. Let's take back our country.
And think about if I could school poster child of gun control David Hawk, and I could lecture my Democrat opponent last year in debate on immigration and lots of issues. Just imagine me standing up from the U.S. floor of Congress to lecture the squad, to lecture Bernie Sanders, AOC, and Congresswoman Omar, and 100 members of Progressive Caucus Democrats in the U.S. House about socialism, about what I believe in as American ideals of freedom. Well, don't you love to watch that? I will have a big mic in front of me. I will not hold back. I will school them and give me very strong 2 cents.
Yes.
There you
Yes.
go. There you
So
go.
thank
you
you.
for your support.
And thank you all for supporting us. Feel free to donate to us as well at the Second Syndicate because we are a grassroots movement. You can go buy some of our swag if you go to our bonfire shop. It's bonfire.com/store.
Yeah, we do have our Polish
/the Second Syndicate.
We do have our Polis for Prison shirt up, so definitely go get a Polis for Prison shirt. Let's start wearing those. And we also have our Gun Salesman of the Year with good old Tom Sullivan, the introducer of the semi-automatic ban here in Colorado, with his face blasted all over it with his nice communist flag on it. So yeah, go check out our store. We've got some pretty cool merch, some pretty cool swag that you can order from there and support the Second Amendment in that way. That way you're getting something back as well.
We will be doing a giveaway for everybody that supports us by following us on all our platforms. We are a grassroots movement. We are only for the people, by the people. We realize right now, if you go on any social media, that our message is being shadow banned because we're talking about the truth. We're talking about liberty. We're talking about firearms. We're talking about empowering people through the Second Amendment. So of course they want to hinder our voices. They want to shut us down. So how you can support us by, if you can't afford to donate, share this content, like, subscribe, hit that bell on our YouTube, go to @the Second Syndicate on YouTube, spelled out the second, go to all of our platforms and make sure you follow us and share our content and tell everybody the Second Syndicate is here. Join the Syndicate. We're here to fight. And thank you so much for supporting us. Stay tuned. We're going to have more shows like this. We love having Lily here. Hopefully you can be a lifetime guest here on our show, and we will be here to bring you more information on what's going on, not only in Colorado, but nationally here for the fight for the
And
2A.
tune in Wednesdays, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on either the Spartan Defense YouTube channel, or if you want to get entered into our giveaway for the Echelon that's been fully loaded out, you need to join our Second Syndicate YouTube page, because that's how you get entered. So make sure you follow us there. Make sure you like and subscribe, guys, and we'll see you Wednesday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
Thank you, everyone, and you have a great night.
God bless.
Bye. God bless.